Holyport Lodge. Well, we have an application before us this evening for the demolition of the existing care home and its replacement. The new care home has a certain use class as what is currently used at the moment, and the applicant has gone through a number of pre-application applications with the officers, and this has actually reduced it down to 52 bedrooms in this particular care home. Now, there's lots of documents on the website, some of which relate to because of the building, the way it was built many years ago, there was a lot of asbestos in the lagging and everything else that has been highlighted, and that has to be removed before the demolition works take place. And obviously, if they uncover more asbestos whilst they're demolishing the building, if it gets to go ahead this evening, and we can only recommend, we can't actually determine the application because that is for the borough to determine, so ours is only a recommendation. Having read a lot of the documents, there is concerns about the effect it's likely to have on the real tennis club and the building directly behind. Because in this particular application, we see a two-storey development that has a basement, and it's the basement aspect that would mean that piles would have to be driven into the ground, and if there's a lot of piling into a ground to support the basement, etc., then you're going to get vibration. That vibration is going to have an effect on the real tennis club. And so I can understand why there are some residents that are extremely concerned about that. And there obviously needs to be some mitigation that takes place if it's agreed this evening. The actual development, I see that many of you have a picture in front of you as to what it looks like that is being proposed. It's not too dissimilar to what is currently there, although it's a little bit more modern in architecture, but nevertheless they have kept to the fact that it is in a conservation area. The Greenbelt policies, the fact that they're replacing a care home with another care home makes it quite difficult to sort of object under those particular grounds. The one area of concern that appears to be from a lot of the residents is if the building was to get agreed, and if that was to be agreed by the borough, then what will happen in the demolition process? And obviously we're concerned about the amount of weight limit on the heavy goods vehicle traffic along the Ascot Road. There's a 7.5 tonnage, and often that is, shall we say, it's not actually complied with, because there are often vehicles passing one another along the Ascot Road, and one of those vehicles has to mount the curb for the other vehicle to get past. So I can understand the actual concerns that many residents have about this, and also about how the wastewater is actually going to be fed back into the system. Now, there have been various points put over by the borough, and the applicant has sort of replied to those in saying how they will manage all of this. But what we're dealing with tonight is, should this 52-bed care home be supported as a recommendation to the borough? And that's what I would like to say in my opening remarks. And then obviously if you've got a speaker, then for that speaker to voice their...
They've already spoken.
Oh, have they? Oh. Well, I apologise, I was stuck on the M4. I couldn't do anything about that. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, don't worry, we do it slightly differently, Dan, don't we? Do a public question time, and then the applicants speak.
Okay, well, apologies to you.
So, yeah, Nick.
I look at this and I think of the rather beautiful facade of the existing Holyport Lodge. And this looks like a sort of, Milton Keynes sort of semi-detached thing. I can't see it really sort of enhances the conservation area and it's I would have thought it's a historic asset. I would have thought you should be asking them to at least maintain the facade of the original building, at least parts of it, particularly that sort of portico area, which is very sort of symbolic of the whole thing. The second thing I'd like to say is that this building is about twice as big as the existing building. That whole bit at the back is brand new. So this is a substantial increase in the footprint, in the green belt, in the conservation area. Clearly, I'm very grateful that Bupa at last decided to do something about this, and I think some mitigations must be given to them in order to give them an opportunity to do this. But I do think this is a pretty substantial increase. We've heard about the piling impacts and impact on Real Tennis Court. Real Tennis Court was built in about 1879 and has a particular form of plaster by a chap called Bickley. And the plaster in the Hardwick Real Tennis Court, the Holyport Real Tennis Court, one of others, is particularly special. And obviously, if there is piling next door and that plaster work gets cracked, that would be a serious problem for the real tennis court. It will basically remove one of the special features of that real tennis court. The other thing, we heard, you can hear this, but the traffic issues with all the lorries coming in and out and the weight that we had a speaker earlier on who was saying exactly what you said, that they don't make enough. They said in this application that there aren't any traffic issues. There are clearly substantial traffic issues. So I personally, although I appreciate, I think this in principle it's great that Bupa are doing something. I think they should do something with the design. I think they should slightly reduce the massing of it. And I would recommend that, in the green belt conservation area, we should be rejecting it.
Okay, thank you. So Mike, and then I would like to say something.
Councillor Wilson, I read in the application that there was a slight concern about the drainage.
Yes.
Is that because it seems that there were reports in the media that they were proposing the least best, which was using a mixed drain, a shared drain, which is not the best way. Is that still an issue? And also it is. I mean, what about sort of the general thing about flooding as well?
Okay. Well, the local lead flood authority officer contacted the applicants. They contacted them on the 12th of September. And the applicants responded to that on the 17th of September.
Right.
In their conclusion, they say it is proposed to mimic the existing drainage regime on the site by reusing the existing combined drainage connection off-site, which is the best available option. This least preference of disposal is mitigated in the post-development scenario by providing surface water attenuation on site, which will reduce peak surface water outflows and also provide betterment in terms of surface water quality and water reuse. Now, in their application, I have seen a lot of permeable surfacing being placed down to allow the water to penetrate the soil. But that is the information I've got in front of me.
Okay.
So can I make a couple of comments? I've read the objections online. So one thing I'd like to bring up is parking. So I think it was 11 spaces for a 52-room care home. I'm not quite sure how you work that out. 11 spaces for visitors, and was it 7 for staff?
Chair, actually, in this new thing that's handed around, it's design response that they have actually up the parking spaces from 14 to 24, it says.
Right, okay, so where are those going? So there has to be new plans online?
I wouldn't know to answer that.
The point's a valid point because there'll be at least 14 staff.
Yeah.
You know, that means, you know, there's not many places for visitors or anybody else.
I mean, you've got to be realistic here. It's a nursing as it's kind of residential. Residential doesn't need quite so many staff. Nursing needs more staff because you need the nurses, you need doctors anyway, etc. So what happens, this is all built, ambulance is called, and they can't get down the green which is by it. They can't get into the front because there's parking spaces are all packed. I mean, there's going to be a little bit better. I'll have a look. I haven't looked to see the plans, and so thank you for making me aware of that. But I know residents are really concerned about that because the green, which is the road in front of Holyport Lodge, will get used as overflow parking, and that already is used for overflow parking for people who live down the streets. So that's just what I just made. Also, real tennis court. Now, Nick will know this as well. Underneath the room where the main club is, there's a swimming pool, and they're not allowed to fill it in because it's a grade 2. The whole thing is, and it's fantastic. It's a proper Victorian plunge pool. It's fantastic, but unfortunately, it fills up from all the surface water in the surrounding area. So you're going to need more than pilings to go underneath. You're going to have to tank whatever in the basement they're going to have to do. And I can tell you, anyone who lives around that area, you go down 10 metres, a metre when it's in the winter time, the hole fills up straight away. So there really does need to be a real consideration around the whole surface water. And I know, to quote my other fellow residents, demolition and construction plans. At Ascot Road, when we've been doing speed watch, actually it's not speed, it's the quantity of cars and lorries and vans. Speeding, you can't speed because it's so heavy, or it's very rare you catch people. It's the quantity, and then you add on top around it. So it really needs to be a real clear plan of how they're going to manage all these additional lorries. I mean, we have building work going on, and usually has lots of tradespeople, so where they're going to all park, etc. There needs to be a real plan, and I can't see that. So I just wanted to, this is what I've read online, so I just wanted to highlight those. So Jackie.
Sorry, may I ask, how does it tell you there how the distance between the backward is and the real tennis court? Because it strikes me the whole thing.
Well, the real tennis court is just, you've got one of these, the real
Yes.
tennis court is just literally over the other side of the boundary, top.
At the top.
Yeah, it's about 5 metres.
Where it says number
If that.
14 or 10,
If I can just say that the basement is in the front element, not in the side element. It's only in the front element. So the distance from the basement to the external wall that's almost the real tennis. There is quite a distance, but I can't say exactly what distance
No,
it is.
I mean,
because I
that's
haven't measured it.
probably too close to all that vibration and damaging the plaster and so on.
I mean, obviously repairs to the real tennis court, you know, there could be a condition in that if there's any damage done, you know, they make it good if there's, you know, photographs don't stop, you know, you can mitigate all of that. That wouldn't necessarily stop the development. But I am worried about the parking, I'm worried about the look of it. I don't think we should allow that.
Considering it's a main feature on Holyport Green at the moment, this is the whole of that site. That's what I'm going to say. So Joanna wanted to say something.
Very quickly, I'm new to the area, and when I moved in, someone said the beautiful white building on the green, and everyone knows. And it's just so recognizable. I was trying to find an answer to the question I'm going to ask, but is the building moved closer to the green? Because either the visualization we're looking at is more imposing. It seems somehow that this building is closer. Does anyone know if it is moved?
I think the ground floor, the existing building is much closer to the front of the property.
The existing is closer.
Yes, it is. According to one of the drawings, it's actually got the outline of the original building in red side, and it actually shows you what has been proposed above that, superimposed. So the actual frontage is mainly pushed back from where it currently is at the moment.
Is it a matter of architectural features?
The only difference is if you're looking at the building straight on, there's a left-hand external bit that just slightly juts out, which would probably be the entrance area. That slightly juts forward, but I can only see what's on the plan that I have in front of me. And thank you, Chair, for because when I looked up all this application, it was yesterday, so there was only 6 objections at the time that I looked yesterday. So thank you for that. I know parking is an issue.
So Bert, she wanted to say something.
Thank you, yeah. I mean, I agree with everything that's been said, but practically, I mean, I don't think this is a high quality design as is previously there. This building is very recognisable in Holyport and in green, and I think we should preserve that. I think it's over in the green belt as well, so for that reason I'm very concerned about this. Construction management plan, we need to make that clear. If this is recommended for, there should be a strict construction management plan in place. And yeah, the real tennis, there's an interesting point about the plaster. Because normally we can't really object on building control grounds because of the particular importance with that property. I know you can party all agreements and things, but there needs to be particular consideration given to Holyport real tennis.
I think it's usually noted as a Grade 2 listed building,
Oh, yeah,
so it has that protection. So I think. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
I think there's somebody who lives nearby, and I declared that, and I've spoken to residents, and they all think nobody doesn't want a care home. Nobody doesn't want a care home. They understand it's a care home. It's big. It's big, and they worry. Real tennis club, how it impacts that. Don't want it to be at the detriment of that, because the real tennis club's only one of how many in the UK? Is it 20?
40 odd.
Yeah, it's not many, and they're all listed. It's in a quarter building, and parking is just, and the road is just. We heard residents speak earlier on. He lives and would be definitely impacted by it. But when we did speed watch, it wasn't cars, it was lorries, and the size of them, enormous, in an area that's supposed to be HGV. only access.
There's more work needs to be done on this, I think.
Yeah, I think it's very nice with the surrounding detail and the flooding issue. It's surface water flooding. Look at the ponds at the moment, that can tell you where the water is. When that's high, and last winter it was flooding, that was how high the surface water was.
And the green road floods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Like a river.
yeah. And you know, the other side of the road is floodplain. It is classified as floodplain. The other side of the Ascot Road is floodplain. So, yeah, it's just a bit. I think it's great for doing this. I don't think anyone says that, but I think it just needs a bit more fine tuning, a bit more of the other side of detail. Parking, a little bit more sympathetic to conservation area, and obviously tennis court. So yes, yeah.
All I'm going to say is that we could make some money out of this by renting out the green or parts of the green, but then to park the vans on construction.
You propose that, yeah.
I tell you what, Nick, you were told Holyport residents that you thought that was a really good idea.
We can also do a bit of hard standing on the green as well. That'd be great,
So, I'm sorry, Clark's just reminded me we've got 45 minutes for the rest of the application, so we need to crack on. So I think we discussed this, so Derek, would you make your recommendation, please?
Okay, well, hearing what has been said, I think that the applicant may need to go back and have a rethink, hearing what has been said, and so I would say that we refuse it on the grounds of green overdevelopment in the green belt and in the conservation area. But I'm sure the applicant has listened to what has been said tonight by various councillors and will obviously make adjustments where necessary.
Can we also please, for the people who live near there,
Yes.
especially, include there needs to be a construction
Oh,
and
yes.
demolition plan.
Yes.
And I would like to say, and if other councillors agree, I'd like this to go to DCP to make sure that that is provided, that the officer doesn't just go ahead and do it. So I'd like to, sorry Ken, did you want to say
The
something?
construction plan should be focused on lorry movements as well,
Yeah,
because when the hospice was built on Windsor Road, lorry movements were not considered and the residents suffered.
yeah, I think we've learned unfortunately the hard way from developments around here. So, okay, so
And something about the real tennis court.
yeah, impact to the real tennis
Yes.
court. We need to include the impact, concern regarding the impact and surface water flooding and parking. I think there needs to be more parking on site. They can't
Well-
rely on,
And stroke access for emergency vehicles.
yes, yeah, where they're going to go. Okay, so I think that's probably it. So if we do that first, and then I'll do the vote on whether it goes to DCP to make sure that we cover that off going forward. So that's the recommendation refused for those reasons. Anyone like to second? Okay, take a choice. Choose? Yeah. And we're recommending it for refusal.
Yeah.
Okay. Then very quickly, I'd like to propose that it goes to DCP to ensure that all the residents' concerns are covered regarding construction, etc. Okay, so that's my proposal. Gosh, everyone recommending for that. Okay, lovely, thank you. Thank you. We need to crack on, sorry, thank you Tracy to remind me. So, next one. If anyone wants to leave, thank you, James. We appreciate your time. Thank you.
Can we come back and present to you before we if we were to resubmit changes?
Yes.
Because the problem with, just an observation about the process, we wrote to you 6 months ago to meet with you to talk through design approach because we wanted to get your steer before we got to this position. So I'm just picking up on the point that you made about processes. It's really helpful working with developers at the outset when we've got a sketch to work together to try and come up with something that you with your satisfaction in the future.
So just so you know, the reason you will push back we recommended you speak to residents and have your open day.
But we did
did.
speak to residents and
Yeah,
we
after
didn't-
that,
but
after that.
we didn't get material feedback from the community to say the building was too big or the design was not supported. We didn't have that.
Feedback.
I'll send you a note, we don't have a
So, sorry, Gertch, sorry, point of order here. So, please, can you do it through the clerk?
Yeah.
Please, any discussions come through the clerk and she'll share with us.
We would love to sit down with you and have the opportunity to go through it properly.
Yeah, now the plan, how parish council works, once the plan's been submitted, then we know what your proposals are, etc. It's in the public domain and you're working with RBWM. We're happy to sit down with you.
But not before the
Not
application is
beforehand,
submitted.
you need to be speaking to residents, you should be engaging with
We
residents.
did do that exercise. But
Yeah.
Consultation needs to take place before a planning application is submitted.
Yes, yes.
So that's just an observation for the future.
Okay, thank you very much, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.